This is Jada Brown, and I'm taking the mic today at Minnesota Youth Collective. This first track is called Onward. Ooh, yeah. Oh. My head, my biggest enemy. No matter how hard I try to forget, it comes crawling back. Test after test they throw at me, waiting for the collapse. Relapse into my past. You ain't ever had a friend of me. They come sneaking back like enemies. Don't want the best for me. Cheap thrills and stranger sex. Who don't got my back? Who am I gonna call family when I ain't let anyone get close to me? Let me be, I scream. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They want a friend of me, come back like enemies, disguised as family. They want a friend of me, come back like enemies, who are my family. They want a friend of me, come back like enemies, disguised as family. Ooh, oh, ooh. They want a friend of me, come back like enemies, disguised as family. They want a friend of me, come back like enemies, who are my family. They want a friend of me, come back like enemies, disguised as family. Ooh, oh, oh. Meditate, the dull aches away until I awake to a higher intellectual state. They say you gain power from pain. All I'm trying to do is maintain, keep the focus on a greater purpose, transcendent vision. Don't care about winning, I was gifted with ambition. The end is inevitable, so what do you bring to the table? This work is a constant, and how are you gonna engage with the process? My headspace, stay in the cosmos, never been worshiping banknotes. So what's a move? Search for the force behind it. There's always a force behind it. Get to know the cheating that drive you. Respect, observing onward. Respect, observing onward. Respect, observing onward. And onward, and onward, and onward.
Hello, welcome to MinneDesk. My name is Sumaya. We're here with Jada Brown. Do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you, your music, how you got into music, and maybe your zodiac sign, too.
Thanks, Samaya. Thanks for having me today. My name is Jada Brown. I am a vocalist. I'm a pianist. I am...
No, you're so good. Okay. Go off.
Thanks, Samaya, for that intro. Thanks for having me today, and I'm excited to be here. My name is Jada Brown. I'm a vocalist, and I live in South Minneapolis. I'm a descendant of the Turtle Mountain Band of Ojibwe. And how I got into music, that is a loaded question. So I've been performing since as long as I can remember. My mom has videos of me when I was 3 years old, like jumping on the table, on the kiddie table, and dancing. And so I'm a natural performer in that way. I started performing when I was around like 14 in school, doing talent shows and joining different bands. and kind of messing around on my computer with recording and that type of stuff. And then I started making my own music probably when I was around 19, 20. 19. Because I've been in a few different projects besides my solo work. And so now I'm 24, about 10 years into performing and 5 years into making my own music. And here I am.
All right, so my next question is, who are some of your biggest musical influences?
My biggest influences. I listen to a lot. Some of my vocal influences are Amy Winehouse, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott. For vocal wise, it's a lot of the R&B and jazz, and soul music. I'd say a lot, and then I do listen to lots of alternative rock. Been in a few bands that were more folk bands or more alternative, that wave, and done. Let's see else. I don't know. Yeah, so kind of around. I just listen to a lot, and I'm influenced by different kinds of music. I'm a big Soldies fan, so lots of Motown and Chicano soul. That's kind of like my playlist for the summer, and just like summertime music. Yeah. This next song is called Lost. Ooh, yeah. Hey, no, no, no. Hey, hey, hey. Oh, oh. What is lost when a language is lost? When a body language don't match, when the emotions become hard to enact what is intact. When you can't find the words to express the emotions flow in a distant ocean, when you can't process the feelings, let the numbness sink in. Let the numbness sink in. Ooh, let the numbness sink in. Hear the waves whisper only a little while longer. Question what make it tick again. Find the courage to ask what is self-sustaining, and in an instant it'll come crashing down to red surface, bury purpose. What make hearts weep like that? Hold on tight, worries carry distress, 'cause it's a different stillness. Hey, no, no, no.
So what do you think music or art's role is in organizing?
I feel like you can't separate the two. Music and any type of artist, visual art or poetry, dancing, singing has always been the front. It's been the front of organizing. It's been at the front, and it's really because that's music and art hold our stories, and so without those, there would be no organizing. I feel there wouldn't be organizing without or movements without music, because that is how we tell our stories, remember them, and retell them. So they're just interconnected in the most way.
Do you think that art is like inherently political, or?
I feel like everyone would answer this different, but for me, it definitely is political. I make it a point. I feel like we in our bodies are political. And I move through the world in that way. And we move through the world in that way. And in the states and in the regimen we live in, under colonial rule. So in my opinion, yes, I do move as political, and my music is political in ways and how I'm sharing my stories, and what I talk about. So I definitely say yes. Alone, but not so scared. She pulls through a bright sense of self, built upon generations of strength. Drop the ego, oh, let it lose you. Calls out to her surroundings, knowing there's more word to laugh than what we speak. Search for the longing deep in your gut, pushes you further, shining heart star, star, star. Know your name and what it's worth. Good things will come once you seek what's inside. Grow to know yourself, one's work and pray. Thank the ones who bless you with your name. Ease your eyes, let your mind rise. You know God's up above, won't leave your side. Trust your step even though they question it. Know it all leads to your destined path, your path. And don't forget that. Trials and tribulations, get to know, to respect and accept these tests. Love makes life meaningful of questions. Answers lead to more, but these are blessings. Ooh, don't be fooled by attaining plastic wisdom. Patience knows no bounds, so don't disrespect it. Your endurance has always been within, waiting for you to blossom into gleaming earth, moving water, ever-changing admiration. In a blink of an eye, you are just who you are. Stripped down to the essence of your kin, you were never alone. So that's a self-titled track called Admiration off my upcoming album, Admiration.
So what issues are kind of most important to you right now or your community? And if you want to just tell us a little bit about like what community means to you, like who is your community?
Yes. I'm a descendant of the Turtle Mountain Band of Ojibwe, and being part of Jesus, coming to the issues. Talking about the issues or talking about ahead. Okay. How am I gonna do this? Some of the issues that my community is facing right now is uncovering of mass graves in residential schools and boarding schools. I'm a mixed Anishinaabe woman, and
it's a really heavy time right now. If some background on boarding schools and residential schools, if you haven't seen it in the news, because it's not being spread, I feel like it's not being talked about in the news enough. So in Canada, there were mass graves uncovered at one of the residential schools there, and for a period in the last 200 years, all the way up until in the 1800s and throughout the late 1900s, our children were and Native families were being taken away forcibly and put into residential schools where they were physically and mentally and spiritually abused, and by government agencies and by churches. And right now, during this time, a lot of graves are being uncovered. And so in our community right now is holding accountable and calling out lots of these boarding schools where they still lay, and those children that were part of our families never got a chance to carry out their lives and their gifts. So right now in Canada, they did this truth and reconciliation project, or within their government, to publicly hold themselves accountable to what they've done to First Nations. And that's continuing in the U.S. and just making the push for that, and making sure that just everyone knows about the traumas and the violence that the government has endued upon our Native communities, and bringing these boarding schools to light and making sure all those children are found and brought home to their communities, to their tribal communities, is just really important. And what's been going on in my community. So that's something that there's lots of healing ceremonies going on right now, and those calls to hold them accountable, to hold the churches accountable, and for all atrocities. Something else, and in my song, I talk about these stories in my songs. My song Lost, which I performed earlier, is like some of these songs they were just freestyles. Like a few of those songs were freestyles, and I just heard a beat and I just like sang it in one take. And one of those songs was Lost, and that's talking about language loss. I started writing that because I was just like trying to relearn your ancestral language. There's lots of pride and also pain that goes behind that. Just like the fact of losing that language through these boarding schools, and stories of like my grandpa hearing, and my aunts and uncles hearing their grandmothers and grandfathers talk in that language, in Ojibwe. That's how I started writing that song, because I was just like, what is lost when a language is lost? That's the first line. And there's lots of traditions too with that language, and how you view the world, and how we talk and see things in our culture. So I tell lots of these stories in my songs, and it just kind of weaves through what's going on and what we have to deal with the daily. Another big issue at the forefront that we're fighting right now is Line 3, and Line 3 is a proposed pipeline project expansion that Enbridge is actually building right now as we speak. And this fight has been going on for a few years, since like 2014. And this pipeline that they're trying to build goes from Canada through Minnesota to Wisconsin, and it passes through 22 rivers, including the Mississippi River, and it goes through Anishinaabe Treaty Land, and so there's been lots of organizing against this from tribal nations and allies to stop Enbridge from building this pipeline, and so that's also tapped into Stop Line 3. We can get involved. There's lots of organizing events around that right now. Just continue fighting for that, because the Mississippi is like our most sacred and largest waterway that we use a lot of water. Everyone who lives in the Twin Cities gets water from the Mississippi, so it affects everyone. And just being sovereign over our own lands and not having pipelines with oil go through them. So we continue. Yeah. This next one is called Rose Colored Glasses. Again, you're tuned in to Minnesota Youth Collective.
Different day, clear the clouded haze to find what you held so close can leave this world. You were so bright. Take the footsteps on a crowded path to go. But be careful, you may not know what you're searching for. Oh, take off them rose-colored glasses. 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 Take off them. Stop in your tracks. You just felt a sense. Oh, that familiar scent came back. Don't you miss it? Feelings got you thinking what you could have done. Oh, before the pain became too much, it hurts to recall your touch. Starry-eyed, sun-kissed skin, we long for that rush. Nearly bliss you shone through your brokenness. Take off them rose-colored glasses. Take off them rose-colored glasses. Take off them rose-colored glasses. Take off them.
You already kind of touched on this, but like how like this shows up in your music and your art. I don't know if you want to say more about that or if you kind
of. Yeah. So in my music, and I talk about, like how I mentioned, just language loss and reconnecting to traditions because of the forced assimilation that the government tried to take away from us, but they couldn't. And I wore my ribbon skirt today because it's a sign. It's a sign of perseverance and resilience, and you just feel powerful and unstoppable. And it's kind of like that adapting. We use ribbons because they came from the West, and we adapted it into our own tradition and style, and just as surviving and thriving. And so just how I perform, and in some of my songs I've talk about water. That's vague. I'm trying to I need my lyrics up here.
I definitely feel it in your
Okay.
music.
Thank you. Yeah. I definitely mention water in a lot of my songs. I noticed just 'cause it's like a healing. Yeah, I need to dive more into my lyrics.
Yeah. And even like the language loss resonates so like highly with me, because I'm thinking about just like even like one generation from like my mother to me versus like I feel like there's such a, even though I maybe am fluent, like there's such a language barrier between us, and like such a it's different how you experience, you know, like I don't know, like more recently I've been thinking so much more about how like I really don't want to forget like this language, and it's becoming easier and easier too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's profound.
So I have one more song for y'all today, and this is untitled. It's one of the newer songs I wrote. So here we go.
So tired, mind heavy. Only time will tell when I'll be ready. Know my spirit whole, and away what's ahead of me. Practice patience, my intuitive sense, a friend of me. Felt fear, question when the end gon' be. Long as we know ancestors look out for me, I'll be okay, it's just a phase. Genuine love got me feeling away. The moon finds me in my most vulnerable stage, lacking a living wage, no option but to live brave. Speaking truth, they're gonna say we crave. Why you so angry? The racists say this is generational rage. Breaking cycles is my game, going crazy almost every day. How my wildest dreams, the oppressors was dream. I am a river strengthened by streams, deep waters of my conscience grew in epiphany. This is the story of shy girl tendencies.
So my last question for you is, do you have any exciting projects that you're working on, or like what do you want to hope to be working on in the next year?
Really, I'm just continuing to put out projects. Been working on a project for a while now. It's called Self-Titled Admiration, and I have a few mixtapes, EPs under my belt that I'm working on. So just stay tuned to at Downtown Jada Brown on Instagram and Facebook, and I should be coming out with more projects. But you'll see me around. I'll perform some shows. We're really just building and just putting more material out. That's my building the sound. That's my goal.
Where can we find your music?
You can find my music. I have some singles released on Spotify, on YouTube, Apple Music, all the gist. And yeah, that's where you can find it. I have some stuff on SoundCloud, if you're a SoundCloud person.
I'm a SoundCloud person. Anything else you want to like plug, like your social medias? You already said your social medias, but like if there's anything else, yeah.
I feel like the Twin Cities is like really booming right now with so much talent, and I want to shout out my friends, projects and stuff they got going on. YKD Collective, shout out to them. Diaspora, shout out to Quay Strong, shout out to Lake Street Truth Collective, and yes, stay tapped into all them.
All right. That's it.
Oh yeah, I got more tapping.
No, yeah.
Also, tune into Lake Street Store Radio. That is on Wednesdays from 9 to 11.
Radio? Okay, bet.
And that's a wrap.